So we're now in Virgo season, and Virgo season is all about feeling whole and healthy in terms of mind, body, and spirit. But what do we do with Virgo energy in our businesses when we've been sustaining 18 months of uncertainness and life just feels completely broken? In today's episode, we're going to be analyzing the Virgo archetype and how it shows up in our business and how we can ground into that centering feeling and know that even if we are broken, we are still whole. Welcome to the Savvy Luminary podcast, Astrology for Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Leslie Tagorda, creator of the Astrobrand Method, business astrologer, brand designer, author, and Aquarius boss woman. I help visionary spiritual entrepreneurs and impact makers like you illuminate and amplify your unique star powers so you can be the luminary you were born to be. Hey, Luminary. I haven't kept it much of a secret that I am completely broken. I feel like that full moon that we had a few weeks ago, I'm still really rippling from all of the effects as it just jolted my grand trine. And I have a sense that there's a lot of us out there that feel really broken and shattered with the Delta variant, all of our plans that we have created to move life forward. Now the rules have all changed with all of the craziness that is going on our planet Earth between, I'm not going to even go and list all the problems you already know. How do we find our sense of peace and wholeness, that kind of Virgo aspiration of purity and perfection? And so today I really want to look at Virgo and how do we find that sense of wholeness when our world just seems so broken? How do we still recognize our completeness and our messiness and know that it's part of the process? So today we're going to look at Virgo, what that archetype means, and kind of that evolution compared to where it was last year. We're going to look at how Virgo is so important in your business to give you a sense of routine, to give you a sense of groundedness. And we'll be also looking at what happens when we don't use our Virgo energy, or if it's somehow wounded or blocked by our own unique astrological powers. Then, of course, I'm going to go and share with you how to unlock your Virgo superpowers in your business and brand by looking at Virgo by the planets and Virgo by the houses. This is another information-packed episode in the season of Virgo. So I would like to set the intention with a centering, grounded mantra. So if you can, I invite you to place your feet firmly on the ground. I'd like you to sit up and feel all of your bodies, your physical body, your emotional body, your spiritual body, and bring them in, gather them all in and center them deep in your belly. I'd like you to take a deep cleansing inhale. And clear out all of the muck with an exhale. Another clearing inhale. And sigh it out. Well, we repeat this mantra twice. So here we go. I am perfectly imperfect. And again, love. I am perfectly imperfect. Gosh, isn't that the truth? Perfectly imperfect. What do you see when you look in the mirror? Do you see your wrinkles? Do you see white hairs? Do you see funny lines or squiggly marks or discolorations? Or do you feel and see that light, that heart, that soul that is coming through? Wherever you are on that spectrum, I want us to start looking at all of these bits and pieces, the parts that we consider broken or imperfect about us, as part of our unique beauty and our unique perfection. Because you know what? You may be broken like me, but we are all still complete. So, Virgo is the power in our charts that we need in our businesses to organize, systemize, and make whole. In traditional astrology, Virgo is represented by the Virgin. She's so pure. And she is the epitome of health. But she is an earth sign, a receptive sign, meaning that she is very grounded, that she loves to embody. Now, while she is ruled by Mercury, and we think about, the Gemini aspect of Mercury of being all in our mind, Mercury now takes that information out of the head and brings it down and embodies it from this place of working through, of building, of diagnosing, of prescribing. I love to think of the Virgo energy as the high priestess of the harvest, meaning right now in Virgo season, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, the Virgo season happens right before harvest. And so when I'm doing an astrobound session and I have a client that has a lot of Virgo, I'm having her imagine the Virgo priestess of the harvest, looking at what we have right before the harvest. So we might have the three sisters in Native American cultures. The three sisters represent the corn, beans, and squash that are grown together. So right before harvest, imagine you are this harvest priestess and you are taking stock. You're looking at how well your crop is doing. You're looking at everybody who needs to be fed. You're looking at what we need to save and store for the winter. You're looking at what needs to be reserved for seed to plant again next year. And it's by looking at the whole, right? We're looking at all of the pieces, the people who need to eat, the savings for the future. We're looking at what we need to replant, what we need to give away. We're looking at all of these things, and then we're diagnosing, we're prescribing what we're going to do with this harvest. And so you can think about in your business what this looks like in terms of you being the priestess of the harvest and really seeing how your business looks like as a whole, where there is no one part of your business that is being neglected or unfed, and always kind of changing with the data that you have available to you. Because remember, Virgo is also a mutable sign. So the mutable signs happen at the end of the seasons, right in the transition. So the transition between summer and fall, the weather, one day it might be really hot and sweltering. The other day it might be like really cold. We get a lot of hurricanes around this time in the Northern Hemisphere, especially in the States. And it's this changeability from year to year that Virgo, that energy of Virgo is so wonderful to balance and to adjust and to maintain. So I want you to really to understand this Virgo element as this diagnostic. The priestess of the harvest is creating a prescription for what you need to manage and make practical and make effective in your business. Of course, the Virgo mantra is be whole. Now, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and I mentioned that Mercury in this aspect is not just the mind part, but it's the taking action on what we're doing. And of course, this taking action on what we're doing comes from data collection and from analyzing, but also in terms of this effectiveness, this systemization of being organized and really having that bird's eye view and looking at the whole, not just getting stuck in the details, which again, Virgo can really get stuck in the details. So Virgo rules the sixth house. So if you're looking at your natal chart, it's the sixth house right below the seventh house descendant. And the sixth house in your business represents your systems and routines and also service to others. In traditional astrology, we would look at the sixth house in terms of health and wellness or illness and sickness. Of course, I'm always choosing the more empowered version of those archetypes. And then in ancient astrology, sometimes also the sixth house could be looked at as the servants. And so when we start to look at it in just kind of a modern perspective and in our businesses, now the sixth house really is what are the things that we need in our business to run effectively, to run in a routine, and to run in a place that is regenerative and sustainable. So this might mean systems and automations. This might be the employees and the energies of the employees that you need to bring into your businesses, or the overall systems that just allow you to be more free from just the day-to-day operations in your business, because you know what, the systems and your teams are handling all of those day to day. So that's why we look at the sixth house when we look at our business. So we're looking at Virgo. We'll talk about how to uncover the Virgo energies in your chart, but also looking at your sixth house will give you more insights as to that kind of Virgo energy that you need to bring. So the Virgo archetype can express itself in different ways. If you have strong Virgo in your business, for example, like a strong Virgo might be your sun or your rising or your midheaven or your moon, you have at your core this archetype of being that diagnostician, again, that harvest priestess, the analyst, the healer, not like the water healers, where like the Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces water healers, where they're working with mystery and they're working with emotional entities. The healer from this Virgo archetype is the one that is really culminating and bringing together mind, body, and spirit. That is the healer of the Virgo archetype. Really thinking about healing the body by also looking at the whole of the mind, the spirit, and of course, the emotions. If you have strong Virgo, you might be in the wellness or the health industries. You might be an herbalist or a botanist or work in the environment somehow. You might be a data analyst, some kind of editor, even a scientist. Of course, you also, because of this service to others, you might also have this real keen knack for hospitality, for being so inviting. While Virgo wants to be healthy and helpful and organized, it can often go overboard and turn that healthy helpfulness into perfectionism, overthinking, martyrdom, feeling like you have to be some kind of servant all the time. So, again, for all of these energies, they really exist on a spectrum. So, why is Virgo important in your business? Well, we all need Virgos in our business. As I'm going through all of these archetypes every month, focusing on the different season, this different zodiacal archetype, you can see how, again, when we start to look at our businesses through the lens of astrology and the round whole natal charts, where each of the houses, the 12 houses, represents a different part of our business, we are looking at our businesses from this Virgo perspective, a holistic view. And one of the reasons why we want to look at our businesses in this well-rounded whole view of Virgo is because we want to start to create ease and flow in our businesses, making sure that there's not like one part of our business that is overly emphasized and then another part that is like completely disengaged. And one of the ways to create this ease and flow and effectiveness is through routines, is through getting all your systems and your processes. Systems and processes a little bit different than the Capricorn systems, which are building structures and foundations on which to build. The systems and processes in Virgo are about so that everything runs like a well-oiled machine. So we're talking about operational systems, automations and systems and things like that. Like, I hope that Zapier is one of your most favorite tools out there if you have a lot of Virgo energy. Now, of course, we need Virgo in our business to create wholeness and health, embodied wholeness and health, because of course, your business, your ability to work in your business and have the capacity to serve others in your business is completely dependent on how healthy your vessel is, your body is. I used to be really disembodied, and that's still a struggle for me. Like, growing up, for me personally, my mom had this really bad relationship with her body that I inherited, and it took me a long time to really tap into my body and become embodied And sometimes I forget to move my body or to stretch or to exercise. And when my body is not feeling great, I mean, nothing else can be done. So bringing that Virgo-ness and feeling into what does health and healing mean for you? How can you feel your most vibrant and your most, I don't want to say pure necessarily, but there's the energy that comes from that purity of being healthy and whole that comes through. And of course, you need Virgo in your business to create your systems that allow you to automate and run more effectively. So, what kind of systems do you need, and what kind of energy do you want to bring to all of this health and organization in your business? Well, you can always look to the zodiac sign at the end of the sixth house cusp. That zodiac sign at the end of the sixth house cusp shows you the energy that you need to bring in, that will help support you and your business to run more effectively. So, your employees, your different systems. Recently, I had a conversation with one of my Astro Brand clients, and when we started talking, she was really struggling because she had brought on this teammate who was supposed to help her with all of these systems and really executing on things in her membership. And she thought that, she met this person, she really liked this person, and she thought that this person, she'd be able to show her the ropes, and this person would be able to just kind of like hit the ground running and figure things out. Well, this person had Aries on her sixth house. And I asked her, how did that person work out? And she said, gosh, this was so frustrating because the person that she had hired just wasn't able to hit the ground running. And she wasn't able to like just do what my client wanted to do in terms of her expectations. Well, this client had Aries on her sixth house. And with Aries on her sixth house, it just showed me that she needed somebody who was going to be the best at what she did, somebody who was going to take self initiative and be a self starter and just like take on all kinds of things and be independent. And so shortly after, she invested some money and hired somebody who also was a leader, who had their own team, and who was going to have the whole team come in and work for her. And this person had what it took, that Aries initiative and drive and competitive edge that really elevated my client's work, because she now was able to hire the right people for her team. So, of course, if you are looking to hire team members or just get your systems in a row, then look to the energy at the sixth house. That's going to give you some insight as to the energy you need to bring into your organizational systems. Now, of course, wherever Virgo by house in your chart is where you are meant to bring more routine, organization, and health to your business. So before we dive into all of that details, what happens when you don't use your Virgo energy? So, of course, we all have collective wounding around Virgo energy through the capitalistic systemic patriarchy that we all live in. And so, systemically, we've all been taught the shadow sides of Virgo in our businesses, right? To overwork, to give so much that we just work ourselves to death, to overthink and be overcritical, where we just can't achieve that ideal or idea of perfection that we see on Instagram. Like we just see all of the highlights and everything that goes so perfectly on Instagram or other social media, as we're only seeing the highlights. So we're forever trying to achieve this unattainable perfectionism. Now, for some of us, the shadow side of Virgo, especially if you're in the wellness industry, is about this idea about being healthy and the fallacies of being healthy, whether it is you need to be a size 0 or under 120 pounds, or like Steph Gadro has taught us that in the health industry that she works in, about all these crazy rules about eating and dieting. And so we go overboard on what we think is healthy because society or the media or the system has told us that we're not healthy or fit enough. And now healthy and fit does not mean stick thin. There are so many variations of healthy. What does healthy mean to you? Again, this similar to the overworking is that sometimes we get so stuck, especially as women entrepreneurs, that we get stuck in this place of just always being of service, that we get stuck in this place of servitude where we start to over give. I know I get stuck in that place a whole lot, that if I'm not being of service, or what more can I offer because I'm charging so much, I'm always over giving. So to notice when you're stuck in that place of servitude. And of course, the most important systemic shadow of Virgo is this a fallacy of efficiency. There's no such thing as efficiency. Last year, during the Virgo new moon, I learned the correct evolution of this word efficiency, and that is effectiveness. Efficiency is a code word for capitalistic people to say, hey, all of my employees have to just work really hard until I've extracted every ounce of energy out of them for the name of profit. No rest, keep on going, grow, grow, grow. That is so bull. So let's get rid of those ideas of efficiency. All of these shadows all deserve capitalistic and patriarchal hierarchies. I am done. Because when we don't feel perfect or holy enough, what happens? We're taught to feel that we're not complete, and that is wrong. You are whole. When we feel that we have to be in our highest service, again, we work ourselves to the death. We overgive, and we are just so stressed and tired and not our best selves. If we don't feel healthy enough, we're always looking to the outside and trying to heal ourselves and look at what needs fixing. And if we are always searching for evidence, we don't trust our intuition enough. And then if we're always trying to be efficient, we don't allow ourselves to rest and recuperate and regenerate to be effective. So let's all promise to evolve into the highest aspects of Virgo, to be energetically vibrant in terms of health, to create sustainable and regenerative work that allows us to work, rest, and play, allows us to be in our whole imperfect bodies and to notice that our imperfections are what makes us so perfect, so that we can work effectively, meaning we go with the natural seasons and our natural cycles, our natural harmonious cycles that we can also see in the stars, whether these cycles are seasonal, like by the sun, or bodily because of our hormones and our menstruation, or energetically or sustainability. Ultimately, an effective system will be regenerative and allow things to thrive through rest, through restoration, as well as through work and dedication. Perfection, you are already perfect. Perfection is your birthright. You are already whole. You are already complete, even if you have a few broken pieces. You already deserve to work easily. You deserve to be in a healthy body, mind, body, and spirit. And you deserve to rest in order to regenerate. So, how do we unlock Virgo in your business? So, first of all, if you have Virgo sun, moon, rising, or on the midheaven, or if you have Mercury on your rising or the midheaven, I would consider yourself to have a strong Virgo business. Before we dive into what this means by planet and the house, I want to first talk about the different Virgo wounds, because earlier I posted on my free Facebook group, the Savvy Luminary, if anybody had questions about Virgo. And ultimately, it was all of the people who had different Virgo wounds who asked questions. So thank you so much, my lovely luminaries and the Savvy Luminary, for asking your questions. The one that I found the most interesting, coming from both Claire and Clarissa had asked about Virgo because they happen to have intercepted Virgo, meaning that Virgo doesn't exist on one of the cusp lines. It is tucked in a house between Leo and Libra. And so if you are somebody that has Virgo intercepted, it just means that to access your healing and organization and your system and that feeling of wholeness, that you have to come from this place of fun and passion. So, to unlock that healing and organization, does it warm your heart? Is it something that you're really enjoying? Right. So, if you have intercepted Virgo, your key to unlocking your health and your wellness and your organization and your daily routines and systems is by going through Leo and having fun. Now, you might have some karmic energies and planets in Virgo. Remember, our karmic planets, like my friend Shelby had called our karmic planets our soul histories. These are the energies that we bring into this lifetime that can sometimes feel stuck or just expressing as its shadow zone. So, if you have a Virgo moon, the moon has so many facets, but one of the facets that if we're not aware and if we're not consciously using consciously choosing the highest expression of our moon, oftentimes we can fall back into past patterns of ancestral stories or family stories, especially around money and being nurtured, and that sense of feeling emotionally secure. If you have a Virgo moon, really look at your needs and like your non negotiable needs to feel healthy, to create routines that are flexible and in flow, and move away from this place of needing to feel perfect or to feel like you're always helping someone. You might have had a story where your mom was hyperly critical and you had to pay particular attention to washing the dishes perfectly. Those could be some examples of having that Virgo moon. But know that if you have a Virgo moon, stretch into that place of having regenerative healing. So, really feeling healthy and restorative instead of just having to always feel like you have to work so hard. Now, if you have a Saturn in Virgo, of course, Saturn is where we turn doubt into mastery, where we turn constraint into responsibility. And so, Saturn, if you have a Saturn in Virgo, you might be super hypercritical because Virgo can already be very critical as well as Saturn. And so, what you're learning to do is you're learning to master your boundaries and saying, okay, I have a set system and a set organization here. How can I commit to that organization, but also know when I need to break free from that organizational structure? Don't get so stuck in the rigidness of Saturn in Virgo. Now, if you have Chiron in Virgo, these are our wounds that may never heal, yet these wounds become wisdom, become valuable assets when you share what you've learned to accommodate those wounds. So if you have Chiron in Virgo, maybe it wasn't safe for you to be whole or to be healthy or to be organized. I know that sounds kind of weird. Maybe it wasn't safe for you to love vegetables or to care for the environment. I don't have a really good example there. I haven't found too many of my clients to have Chiron in Virgo, so I don't have really good examples for you. If you have a Virgo, a Chiron in Virgo, please let me know. I would love to read your chart and understand your experiences so I have some better examples to share. And then, of course, if you have your South Node in Virgo, remember you're moving away from getting stuck in this process of overthinking, overanalyzing, overworking, and trying to be perfect. And you're moving into that space of ease and flow from the polarity of Pisces. Because I forgot to mention in the very beginning, Pisces is the polar opposite of Virgo, and they need each other. Because if Virgo is stuck in its organization, communications and its systems can get really rigid and inflexible. And if Pisces, if stuck in its own devices, is just all over the place, just floating around. So these two energies, they need each other. Pisces needs Virgo to have some routine and groundedness, and Virgo needs Pisces to bring in some ease and flow. So let's take a look at Virgo by house. Remember that your natal chart is divided into 12 pie pieces called houses. Each of the dividing lines on your natal chart are called cusps, and these cusps are the energetic doorways into that house. And so I want you to look at your chart and I want you to see which of your house cusps have Virgo at the end. You may have a single Virgo, you might have a double dose of Virgo, you might not have any Virgo, like I mentioned earlier, with having Virgo intercepted, in which you need to enter through Leo. So for these examples, I'm giving you a suggested rising sign. It may not be accurate for you. So more importantly, I'm going to give you the house cusp, and I want you to look at that. I'll give you a suggested rising sign, but again, it might not be accurate for you. So where you have Virgo by house cusp is where in your business you are to become more organized, healthy, and of service in your business. So if you are a Virgo rising, you have Virgo on the first house cusp, you are here to be organized and have a holistic brand and leadership style. If you have Virgo on the second house cusp, you might be a Leo rising, and you are supposed to be grounded and organized with grounded brand values and practical ways at how you add values to your customers. If you have a third house Virgo, maybe you are a Cancer rising. Here you are creating practical communications and really grounded and in a beautiful, responsible routine in how you promote your brand. So consistent communications. If you have fourth house with Virgo, you might be a Gemini rising. And so if your fourth house or your IC is in Virgo, my goodness, you have Virgo at the root of your chart. And here you are being asked to have emotional curiosity that grounds you in your past experiences. So your home life, your family life probably has to be pretty organized. If you have a fifth house with Virgo at the end, you might be a Taurus rising. And here with your passion projects, they are meant to be earthbound and healthful and organized. If you have sixth house Virgo, this is like my client that I was talking to you about earlier. If you have Virgo on the sixth house, you might be an Aries rising. And for you, you need people and systems in your business that are just like super effective, like that really take care of the day-to-day operations and routines. You need organization in your day-to-day. If you have Virgo on the seventh house, you are definitely a Pisces rising. And here you are meant to collaborate with health-focused, ideal soul customers and co-creators. If you have Virgo in your eighth house, you might be an Aquarius rising. And here you have the ability to empower through your healing and regeneration. If you have Virgo in the ninth house, you might be a Capricorn rising, and your vision and your purpose has to be based in these Virgo ideals of what's really doable. If it's not doable, if it's not workable, it's not a true purpose for you. Of course, so perfect for Capricorn rising. If you have Virgo on the 10th house, you might be a Sagittarius rising. Here you are delivering on your ultimate mission in your healing work. If you have Virgo on the 11th house, you might be a Scorpio rising. Here you're making social impact and building communities through health and wellness. And if you might be a Libra rising with 12th house Virgo. Here you have to restore and regenerate and ground and rest. So let's take a look at Virgo by planet. If you have any planets in Virgo, these are gifts that you are meant to use with gratitude and responsibility. So the Virgo planets, these are the energies that you have to create regenerative wellness, routine, and service to others in your business. For all you Virgo suns, happy solar return. And you are here to radiate wellness and organization as your superpowered zone of genius. For those Virgo moons here, you need to feel healthy and whole to be successful. For your Virgo risings, as I mentioned earlier, you lead and initiate with effective, systemized routines, so organized. If you have Mercury in Virgo and its home sign of Virgo, you have a superpower of communicating with evidence and analysis of details. If you have Venus in Virgo, you attract and partner with other healthy souls. If you have Mars in Virgo, you are motivated by routine and regeneration. Jupiter in Virgo, you expand your purpose with practical healing. Saturn in Virgo, you commit and master your ability to be of service and make things sustainable. If you have Uranus in Virgo, you innovate and evolve through health and wellness. If you have Neptune in Virgo, like 1928 to 1943 on and off through there, you blend into a feeling of deep caring for others. Pluto in Virgo, born 56 through 72 on and off, you transform the power of environmental protections and health. Oh my gosh. So I know some of us are boomers there. We really need to think about what we have done or not done in terms of environmental protections and health. If you have your North Node in Virgo, you stretch into practicing health and wholeness to direct your business. If you have your South Node in Virgo, you can fall back on what you know about being of service, but remember to not get stuck in overworking or overanalyzing. If you have Chiron in Virgo, you recognize your deep health and wholeness wounds and share what you have learned about being enough through your offers. So I hope that you've enjoyed all of this Virgo download. See where you have Virgo in your chart, somewhere by house or planet, because this is the energy you need to be more organized and be of service. Of course, look to your sixth house, because this will also show you the energy that you need to bring to become more organized in your business. Where in your life and business are you meant to create this routine and wholeness? Remember, this is a gift, and with gift becomes a responsibility to use, appreciate, and share. What will you do with your Virgo energy? Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before we end with our mantra, I just want to let you know that, of course, I have our upcoming Mercury retrograde in Libra. I will be hosting a workshop on Mercury retrograde. So please keep a tab on me on social media. I don't have the date announced yet. We're going to be skipping our new moon ceremony for Virgo. I'm sorry if you've been looking forward to that. I'll be starting my new moon ceremonies again in Libra season. There's just so many things going on. I'm starting to deliver the Star Powered Intensive. Close to 30 beautiful luminaries are joining me for this 4-week intensive for Star Powered Position. I am so excited. So everyone, let's close off with our mantra. If you can, ground your feet, center, call in your mind, body, and spirit. Take that beautiful clearing breath and repeat after me. I am perfectly imperfect. Yes, luminary, you are beautiful, you are perfect, you are whole. Go forth and be organized. All right, talk to you soon. Bye. If you love this podcast, please consider doing me a favor and heading over to Apple iTunes and leaving me a rating and review. Your rating and review helps this humble podcast get seen and found by more listeners like you. Please share the love.